Hello, everybody, and welcome to this session of Guildmaster Gaming. Today, we got it a little bit different. We're here talking about the film I'm Not a Robot, which is written and directed by Victoria Warmardam. But instead of Victoria, we have Trent, who is the producer of the film. So, Trent, would you please go ahead and tell us about yourself and what you'd like to tell us about I'm Not a Robot?
Yeah, thanks for this introduction and thanks for this interview, by the way. I'm a producer and I also produced I'm Not a Robot. And I'm Not a Robot is a short film and it's written and directed by Victoria, but Victoria is also my partner. So I know everything about the film. I'm quite involved at the film. And at the moment, she's doing another interview for a Dutch magazine. So since we both know all about the film, we kind of are like a duo. So what I like about the film is the fact that it's so relatable because we've all had these captchas, the stuff that you are sitting behind a computer and you try to prove that you're not a robot. And I think all of us had it also that it kind of failed a couple of times. And this is actually what the film is about. There's a woman and she has a couple of attempts to do a captcha. She fails and she finds out whether she's a robot or not. And I really like that what if question about the film.
Okay, so it's very clear where the concept comes from because I can't imagine anybody on this computer right now has never
Exactly.
seen a CAPTCHA.
Exactly. But surprisingly enough, a lot of people don't know what CAPTCHA stands for because we had a screening yesterday, for instance, and there were, I think, it was a screening for 50 people, so it was quite intimate. But I think 10 to 15 people were coming to us afterwards. They said, I didn't know what CAPTCHA stands for because in the film it's being explained.
Yep. So so what you're telling me then is you've made an educational film for us.
It's a very educational film. What is a CAPTCHA and are we all robots or not?
So, I know this is kind of tied into a lot of the other things of the exploration of artificial intelligence, along the same lines as are you a robot, but to what extent can that intelligence be played into? Did you guys do some research into AI technologies to see what type of possibilities might be there?
Of course, we did some research, but to be honest, we were more focused on the aspect of humanity than AI, because both of us, well, Victoria is more freaked out of AI because she's scared that it's going to take over her job, for instance. And I'm more open to AI because I like the possibilities that AI offers us. They're much quicker than us. And they have so much data. I mean, if they read something, they can analyze it in 3 seconds. And I'm kind of interested by that. So we talk more about humanity, about how scary is it if a robot acts exactly like us and is more human than us, because that was the scary thing. So I think well, researching humanity is quite a big statement, but when we talked about the script, it was how can we have this woman react as human as possible. So Victoria based it, all her reactions are based on Victoria herself.
Oh, so we'll be able to, even without meeting Victoria, watching the film, we'll be able to get a good understanding of who she is.
For sure, for sure. A small part, but for sure, yeah.
So you say that one of the big aspects was kind of promoting the humanity of it all and trying to move forward. Is that we talked briefly before about some of the things about your film, and you said that this was all shot in analog to get that
Yeah,
proper feel. Was
yeah.
that a conscious decision to go along with the idea of trying to capture that level of humanity because of using that technology?
Yeah, that's very well put. It was a very conscious decision, although the idea of shooting on 35 came from, this is not a surprise, the DOP. A lot of DOPs want to shoot on 35. And when we were already finishing the final draft of the script, we tried to look for the cast and the crew, of course. And when we were talking to some DOPs, and in the end chose for this DOP, he said, why don't we shoot it on 35? And because he said exactly what you are saying now, it fits the project, it fits the humanity, it fits the atmosphere of analog, which is not AI and not digital. So then we thought about it, and then of course we had to see, okay, this is going to have some consequences, not only financially, but also how many takes can you shoot on a set. And Victoria had never shot on 35, so she was quite excited to do it the first time, but at the same time she was scared. So it was definitely like you said, but I must give the idea to the DOP who initially brought it up, but it is a great idea.
Okay. Another aspect we mentioned, and I can see how this all ties in now too, is you made a decision to produce your film carbon neutral.
Yes.
And I have a feeling that it all seems to kind of tie together where you're trying to capture humanity, but then with carbon neutral, kind of bringing it back from the problems of today back into humanity again. So was that the main reason for going carbon neutral, or is it kind of a bigger decision that you had?
Well, the way you put it would be an excellent answer, I must say, but it was not exactly how it worked, because when you were talking about humanity, I was already getting almost goosebumps, because I thought, yeah, that's why we try to produce film sustainability, because we care so much for humanity. And of course, I never said it out loud, but I think the unconscious decision was about that. But the conscious decision for producing sustainable is I try to produce all my films sustainable and carbon neutral, because I think we have that duty, not only as filmmakers, but just as people, to make other people aware. So for us, it's also very important that if we produce a film sustainable, all the cast and crew is going to be involved. And all of them, I wanted to say have to, but I don't like the words have to. All the cast and crew is involved in our decision making, why we want to do that, and if they want to participate in that. We ask them to participate in making this film green or making this sustainability. But in the end, it is about humanity. If all of the people will be more sustainable, I think we will have a much healthier planet.
So you were able to get total buy-in from everybody into the project to be a sustainable project.
Yeah, we did some workshops before shooting, and we did some brainstorming before shooting. And then in the end, we had a sustainability identity for the film, which came from all the cast and the crew. And then after having that sustainability identity, we make an action plan, and then we start to really do it. So instead of being like a sustainability police who says, we have to do this sustainable, or we are going to do this sustainable, it's something that comes from everyone.
Oh,
It takes time, it costs money, but it's really rewarding. It's fantastic to do.
I will admit, this is the first film I've talked to anybody about that took this on as a project. I think it's a very admirable aspect of your film now. I thank you for sharing that information with us.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for asking. You were the first who asked me this.
So, let's kind of go into the storyline a little bit. Now, we know, I mean, I'm not a robot. We can see where that comes from, that initial idea comes from. But the storyline, the story arc of the character, what were some of the influence you've had to create that storyline?
Yeah, without explaining too much,
Yeah.
I know that Victoria, like I said, she had that initial idea about failing the CAPTCHAs and then finding out whether you're a robot or not. But at the same time, she already had a final image in her head, which is the final image of the film. You've seen it, you know what image that is. But then for her, the challenge was, how can I go from a person who is failing the CAPTCHAs how can I go to that final image in a short film, which is maximum 30 minutes? And for her, it was a challenge during writing to make every step towards that final goal. And of course, when we start the film at 0, when she's just sitting behind the computer, we end the film at 100 because of the final image. And the challenge was how to get there step by step. Maybe for people who haven't seen the film, this is quite abstract, but watch this answer again after you've seen the film.
Yeah, I will admit when I was watching it, when it opened up with the song that's playing,
Yeah,
I was like, oh, that's very telling. That was a great point of foreshadow. Uh,
it is.
a very popular song. Did that take a lot of work to get the rights to be able to use that?
I initially thought it would, but actually it was okay, because there was we have a Belgian co-producer on this project, and the choir that performed this song is a Belgian female choir, and they performed this song a couple of years ago, I think. And my co-producer is quite big in music. He did a lot of music, so he reached out to them to ask them if we could use their performance for the film, and we explained what it was about, and they said, yeah, sure, that's okay, but of course you have to go to the composers, and the composers are the wonderful people of Radiohead, because it's the song Creep by Radiohead. But it did help that when we went to the company who owns the master, who owns the composition rights of Radiohead, that we already told them the performers have already agreed. So in the end, it was quite, yeah, I thought it was really be difficult, but in the end, it was quite easy, which
I
I'm
just
really
kind of,
happy with.
I was kind of bringing that out because I know so many people that talk about the problems they have getting, permissions.
Yeah.
And I keep coming across this aspect that once I get across someone that had something with a big item in it, permissions actually seem to go so much easier.
It could be, yeah. I was talking to some music post-production supervisors a couple of years ago, and I think the entire, all the songs of Bob Dylan or another wonderful artist were just being bought by Sony or Warner, I don't know. And she said, if you want to use a song of Bob Dylan, now is the moment, because Sony just paid a huge amount for the Bob Dylan songs and they want to get their money back. And I thought, oh yeah, it can also work like that. So if whenever there's a big artist and you feel like, oh, Bruce Springsteen, all his songs are being sold or bought by Warner, that's the time to get to them and
Yeah.
to ask the rights of that song.
Now, I've just found it so interesting. Most of them are like, it was so much easier. So it's the fear of going after it than actually doing it.
It is. Yeah, it's the same. It's the same with actors. Probably they're busy. We will not ask them.
But kind of going more to the look of the movie now. Was there any films that kind of I have one title from the old horror films,
Oh, let
the
me know.
Stepford Wives. Uh, did any of that kind of play into the project that you created?
Not the Stepford Wives, although we know it, because the Stepford Wives, there's some cleanliness about the film. And Victoria really wanted to avoid cleanliness. She wanted to make it more almost retro vintage.
Yeah.
Not dirty, but stylistically.
Mhm.
And there was one, not a film, there was one TV series that we kind of used as an influence. And it's TV series Homecoming by Sam Ismail, who also did the wonderful series Mr. Robot, which is just by accident that it's called Robot. But stylistically, we really liked, and especially the first season of Homecoming, where Julia Roberts, I think, plays the part of a life next to Pretty Woman. But it's a wonderful series. We also had some of these images in our pitch deck for the film fund, I think.
Okay. So let's kind of go back to you now. You're the producer of the film. And usually I'm asking people, but like you said, you are very involved in the entire creative aspects of I'm Not a Robot.
Yeah.
So for yourself, what was your personal influence for wanting to become a filmmaker?
My personal influence, one of the first films I saw that really attracted me to making was Rumble Fish by Francis Ford Coppola. And I thought the entire film, both stylistically and also script and also the mystic characters, there was something about this film that, and I think I was around 12, 13, 14, maybe, something like that. And I really started to get interested in film because of that film. And then I started to read a lot about film, started to watch more films. Then I went to the film school. At the film school, I didn't know which part of filmmaking would be most interesting for me. And I had the luxury that I was at the film school where we didn't have to choose in the beginning. So I could do everything. So I also directed some films. I also did sound and did camera. And I immediately found out I'm not a good director because I really don't understand if an actor does something and I would not be pleased with it. How can I explain as a director to go away that I want? And this is something for me is still abracadabra. And I really like how directors do it. But then I started that I really liked the set and I really liked editing. And after the film school and during the film schools, I did a lot of that. And then I just gradually grew into producing, but just producing, doing it on my way. And that's being involved from beginning to end. If people send me a script and say, oh, we have a script and we already have the cast or whatever, that's not for me. People need to come with an idea and then together we're going to develop it. That's what I like.
Okay, so what would you say then is the primary role as producer?
Primary role is make sure that the director is going to make the best film he or she or they want. And because I'm, as a producer, I'm working for the director's vision. I'm not working for myself. I'm working for the director's vision. So if the director has a strong vision, I really want to be a part of it. And I really want to make sure that we have the right cast who understands the director's vision, have the right crew who understands the director's vision, that the communication is good. Some directors are better in explaining their vision than others. So if they're less skilled in explaining their vision, I'm going to help them. Stuff like that. I think that for me is the most important.
Creating that atmosphere around them to be able to be their creative self.
Exactly.
Okay. Because I know a lot of people that are outside of film, they're going, isn't they just a money person? And
it could also be, yeah.
But it's so much more.
It's much more, yeah. Most of the time I say, I mean, when I've explained to my father a lot of times what I'm doing, and still he doesn't understand because it's kind of it's still a bit difficult.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that explanation. I think that for some of the people I have that aren't directly involved in film, that might give them a little bit different appreciation for what the role of the producers do. Behind the scene and kind of pulling it all together. So for yourself, or even for you and Victoria together, we've got I'm Not a Robot. You said she's currently working on another film. Are you involved in that film also?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So what can we look forward to coming from the duo?
We have 2 feature films in development, and one of the film is a feature adaptation of the short I'm Not a Robot. And quite bluntly, it's not going to be the same as the short, of course, because the short is 22 minutes for a reason. It means that in the feature film, we will see everything that happens before the short. We also have the short, of course, but not this short, but like the story of the short, and then everything that happens after the short.
Okay.
That's the idea. And we're writing the script at the moment, and it aims to be finished beginning of next year, like January. Then we will finish the script, and then we will get out there and see who we partner up with, and then the financing starts.
Okay. So besides the feature adaptation, do you have any other projects that we might be able to kind of keep an eye out on?
We have another feature film which also plays in a parallel world, the same as I'm Not a Robot. And Victoria is also writing that at the moment, but her first focus is on the I'm Not a Robot feature film. So I think the other script will be finished somewhere maybe at the end of next year. And then while we have financed I'm Not a Robot, hopefully we can finance the other one. That's kind of the idea.
So with I'm Not a Robot, it sounds like you guys are pretty much near the start of your festival run. So where are some of the places looking forward can you tell us about that people might be able to see I'm Not a Robot outside of FilmQuest?
The film is playing at a couple of other fantastic film festivals, like in Poland, in Sweden, in Ireland, the Ennis Land Fantastic Splat Film Fest. It's also playing in Shockfest, by the way, in the US. But later on, it will also be in the UK on Estetica. It will be in the Cannes Indie Shorts in France, but it will also be in the Miami Short Film Festival and also Yofi Fest, Yonkers in New York. So there's quite some stuff coming up, which I'm really glad about.
So you've gotten some really good acceptance on it.
Yeah, and the nice thing also is that we won a couple of Oscar qualifying festivals. So at the moment we are working on our Oscar campaign. We will have a screening at the end of next week in LA. And it's also on the platform now, and we are trying, we're trying to see how to get it out there to the voters.
Okay, so you're spreading it out that way. So by the way, I will say congratulations on the nominations at FilmQuest. I saw that it was nominated for Best Short and for Best Director. So
and Best Writer also.
Oh, yeah, that's what I meant. Director and writer, not Best Short. Director and writer.
Oh, I saw it and I was like, wow, this is wonderful. Yeah, what it is, it's the best, to be honest, the best nominations for us.
All right. So you're getting this program together, getting to get it out there for the possibility of an Oscar run. And it sounds like you got a feature. So I'm thinking you're probably not looking for strong distribution of the short itself after you finish up your festival run, or is that still a possibility of doing it a distribution of the short and using that for the building of the feature?
Well, actually, it will be known, I think. Do you know when is this interview going to be online?
Well, on this one here, because of my time constraints, what I'll probably do, even though I don't have the review written up, I've been putting out the interviews, and so they're available, but they don't have a link back yet going to the review. So it'll probably be up later on today. And I'll send you
today.
and I'll send you a link so that we can
cool.
if you want, you can use it.
No, my answer, but then I will slightly change my answer. The short has been sold for distribution, but since this interview is going online today, I cannot say to whom yet.
Totally understandable, but
but we're really glad that that is going to be out there. It's wonderful. Yeah.
So the nice thing what I like to tell people then is, go and definitely see it in theater. It's theater quality. But if you can't make it in the theater, keep an eye out on the different streaming services and so forth, because they'll be able to pick it up there later.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, great stuff. So we've kind of talked about going with the film going forward and everything. So on a little bit more of a personal level, Trent, what is it you like to do to relax and kind of get away from the filmmaking aspects of your life?
What I like to do is walking my dog. And we have a dog together, Victoria and I, and we really like to walk with the dog, just in nature. What I also like is watching films. And when I started out in filmmaking, it was difficult to watch films without analyzing them. But I've learned that. So when I watch a film now, even if it's a bad film, or at least I think it's a bad film. For me, it's very entertaining and very relaxing. And another relaxing thing that I'm doing now that I'm thinking about it is I'm a great football, or I love football. And sometimes I really like to watch just football games. You know, it lasts 90 minutes and then it ends, and you don't have to think about anything else during this. You can just watch. The rules are simple. And I tend to relax by that. Yeah.
I know a few other people that enjoy sporting events just for that purpose. That's like, it's encapsulated, it's done, and they're, they can move on and go back. So that
Exactly.
sounds like some really great stuff. So, we've gotten some really good information from you. I think, we've learned about your film. We've learned a little bit about you and your guys' process of what we got coming up. So I'm going to finish up with just one question. And then after that, I'm going to open it up to you to be able to do any type of call out, any type of statement you would like to make. But my
Okay.
final question to you is, if you had a person come to you and say, hey, Trent, I want to be a filmmaker, what advice would you give them?
I would give the advice to talk to a lot of people, especially producers. If you want to be a writer director, I think you need a producer as a partner. It makes life easier in filmmaking, and it's okay if you don't click with people. I know a lot of people who are trying to work with people, and from the beginning they thought of didn't have that connection or didn't have that click, and then it will always come back at you. So I think it's really important. I also say it to some film students in the Netherlands. After you graduate to school and you want to be a filmmaker, just talk to 20, 30, 40. This is in our country. Maybe in your country it will be 100, but to a lot of producers and partners. It can also be writing partners, or just to see who do I connect with on a personal level. That's really, for me, that's the most important. If I don't connect on a personal level, I cannot make a good film. And it doesn't mean that all the people I work with are my best friends. I just connect with them on a personal level, and which means I can make films with them. For me, that's very important, because I don't connect with everybody. It's impossible. Nobody connects with everybody. There's lots of people that you just don't connect to. Please don't make films with them.
Yeah, don't make people feel that when you're
Exactly. Yeah. You can as a filmmaker, whether it's producing or director or writer, you can choose who you want to work with. It's not a job that you're in a company and your colleague who's sitting next to you is someone you don't like, but you didn't choose him. With filmmaking, you can choose who you want to work with. So it's actually it's a luxury. So use that luxury to choose with the people that you want to go to war with. You want to win the war with them.
I think that is some great advice, choosing your team. So
Yeah.
as a final note, any final call outs or anything you'd like to make?
Yeah, you already said it before this question, and then when you pop it out, it's like in my head, what will it's very smart that you do it, but at the same time, I'm like, what will be the final thoughts? I think it's kind of like an extension of what I just said, that it's very important to choose the people you work with, but also there's a quite some people, not just in our business, but just in life, people who don't respect others, or do not think about the nature, or do not think about humanity. I can call them nasty names, these people, but I won't. But it's quite important for yourself to, if you find these people and you think, they're not really my people, or they're treating other people with respect, or animals without respect, then just make the choice not to go along. I think it's really important, and it saves you a lot of negative energy.
Well, thank you, Trent. Thank you for joining us. I'll tell everybody, if you like what we do here, please like it, share it out. If you want to subscribe, that always helps us to do more. But at the same point, please get out to the film festivals, support the independent creators. And people that know me, it's not just film, it's for writing, it's for all the different artistic formats. get out there and do that. Do you guys have the opportunity to be joining us at Film Festival? I know it's a quite an expense to get across the world.
It's quite an expense, and unfortunately, we do not have that
Okay.
luxury. Too
So
bad.
we'll miss you there, but you're playing all over the world. So if you see this in one of those locations, check out your local festivals. You probably have a good chance of picking up seeing I'm Not a Robot. And again, thank you, and we'll talk to you all again the next time.
Thank you very much.